Yo, what up, everybody? Give me a second. Guys, I had a revelation. Maybe I'll go camera. I don't really wear hats, but my hair is fucked up, so I'm gonna wear it. Last night when I went to bed, I had a revelation, guys. First of all, let me tell you what happened. Last night, the power went out at like 3 a.m. So I went and laid down in my bed because, it was like 30 degrees, 20 degrees. It was cold. It was pretty cold because that's why the power went out, the snow. If it snows pretty hard, sometimes the power goes out, right? So I was laying down, just trying to stay warm, keep, the room warm because I didn't know how long the power was going to be out. And I'm all sitting there fucking having like brainstorming theories on the universe and God. Hold on, I gotta fix this. And I'm all like kind of wanting to get on Chat GPT. And then my power's out. It's like pitch black in my fucking room. Without the power. I mean, I could use my cell phone light, right? But anyway, I'm just laying down, chilling, contemplating the existence of God and everything automatically happening. See, that's where it all started. I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, everything automatically happens. So here's what I realized. I've realized a lot, but I got to break it down in a few segments. So I realized everything's made up of matter, right? So I was like sitting there realizing, okay, well, if everything's made up of matter, then that means God isn't made up of matter. Because he's, outside of matter. He creates matter. He is the creator of material. So the definition of God is he creates all material. He creates everything, anything and everything. He always existed. He's all powerful. But that's God's duty, is to create matter. So how does he create matter? First of all, he always existed, and he thinks about different types of matter. So think about like wood, rock, grass, different types of matter, right? DNA is a type of matter. So he has to create different types of material as the building blocks of. So everything is made up of building blocks because he has to use building blocks to create everything. Because, I mean, it only makes sense, right? So it's made up of memory segments. Everything's stored in memory. So, you know how we're floating in the middle of nothingness? Like, it's almost like Earth is just floating like a snow globe. And then it's like there's nothing. It's just floating there, right? See, because it's being stored. It's stored information. Everything is just stored information. Because that's the nature of God, is he stores information, material. He simulated every type of material that could be created, right? For example, glass, wood. So he simulates every type of material, and then he assigns, well, let's use this material here because that is where it'll become perfect. Because that's his job. God is to create and connect all the dots. It all automatically happens. So for God, he automatically just existed inside his mind, just like try to think about it, to put it into a perspective that you can understand and that you would somewhat type of perceive it like, is your heartbeat, right? Your brain function. Your heartbeat is just automatically doing it. See, that's the nature of God. His mind is always operating like a heartbeat. So, infinitely, if you go back in time, his mind is in operation. He's always conceiving. He's always thinking. That's all he does is think. That's, in fact, one of his greatest abilities is to think. So for infinite amounts of time, he's thinking. Well, what would matter the most? What would be the best material? What materials would I need? What materials should I use? What materials should I create? Because he creates material. He created all material. There's all this different material. Atoms, carbon, fucking air, water, all these different materials. So he creates material because he thinks about, well, what material are we going to need? What's going to matter? So everything is structured in a way of where it matters, what matters the most. So it's organized based on material. So you're made up of matter. Okay? God isn't made up of matter. All right, so when I'm saying you're made up of matter, you exist, we exist inside our thought. That's the most important thing. That's what I realized matter is. Matter is thought. Because when he created material, he had to think of the material to create. So what is matter? Everyone's all wondering, well, what's the source of all matter? Where's all this matter coming from? What is matter? Matter. Sorry, I gotta smoke to this shit. Okay, this is only one part of the segment. So he creates material out of his imagination through thought. Because he thought of everything. Because that's God's nature, is to think of everything. So he thought of every type of material, which includes DNA. Okay? DNA is a material. That automatically operates, automatically functions like a heartbeat. That's like the source of existence. How everything automatically functions, automatically operates. That's his nature. DNA is one of the most miraculous materials to exist that we know of. In fact, I bet you there's more mysteries about DNA than we even know about. As in, we're not realizing how complex material is, matter is. Because it's like a quantum system. It's like a quantum organism. Okay, but now we go to the next segment. Here's the next segment. So check this out, guys. So God isn't made of material. So God, that means he isn't made of thought. That means nobody materialized God. Nobody thought of God. You see, nobody created God. Because he's not material. Why do you think God doesn't need to be created? He exists inside his imagination, inside his mind. He has an all-powerful imagination, an all-powerful mind that everything else exists inside of. Okay, so the revelation is... Sorry, I gotta smoke. The revelation of God is he's not material. Why do you think he always exists? Because he's a mind structure. Your mind isn't necessary. That's probably what makes the mind so miraculous. The connection and link to the brain is there probably becomes a point that the mind isn't connected through material. Your mind is non-material. It's connected like to the void, to the infinite memory structure. I don't really know. I just kind of think, I was just kind of thinking that. Anyway. All right, give me a sec. Okay. So everything is thought up, made up. It's created out of thought. You know what's also so mysterious about everything's just made up of matter? Thought. Everything is materialized. Thought of. To materialize, God thought of it, so it materialized. Okay. So you exist inside matter. You're limited to matter. That's why we die, because we're made of material, matter. By the way, I'm going to load up Overwatch while we're kind of just ranting and raving here. Okay. So, God has to set everything up so that it automatically happens at a certain point. At a certain point, everything has to automatically happen, right? Apparently, at some point, the fucking sun had to automatically be there, right? Like your heart. It's just kind of automatically fucking there, right? Okay. That's the nature of God. Alright, so what was I gonna say? How to oh yeah. Another thing that I realized. So you gotta look at the revelation of God of like as a binary thing. I realized the biggest secret of the universe and galaxy is that it's almost like it's been put in front of us. You guys have all heard the saying. Okay. So you've all heard the saying to be or not to be, right? That is the question. That's the revelation of the universe. That's kind of like the secret. Sorry, I should look at the camera more. I'm looking at my monitor. So you guys are wondering, like, it looks like I'm looking off. Instead of looking at the camera, I'm looking off at the monitor. My bad. Okay, so everything either is or is not. Alright, that's the revelation. Fuck, guys, I'm gonna go get my oil changed. Change of plans. I'll be back on later. Okay, so everything either is or is not. So that's the revelation of God. The revelation of God is, if God exists, then God never randomly existed. That's the revelation. Because it either is or is not. It's either A or B. So if God exists, then God doesn't randomly just exist. Which is what you would think. You would think, okay, well, doesn't he just randomly exist? No. No, he never randomly exists. He never, it's the opposite. He never randomly existed. He doesn't randomly exist. That's where everyone's so confused, because we're like, shouldn't he randomly exist? But if God exists, then he never for 1 second just randomly existed. He never randomly existed. He doesn't randomly exist. See, that's the revelation of God. So he either, if God doesn't exist, then everything randomly just exists. Everything always randomly just exists. But that doesn't make sense, because it seems like it's the opposite. It doesn't seem like everything randomly just exists, right? All right, guys. Well, I have to go get my oil changed. I had change of plans. I'll be back on later. I'll be back on in like 3 hours, guys. But yeah, think about that. That's crazy as fuck. Yes, so if God does exist, then he doesn't randomly exist.